Okay, so if you have a pen, why don't you bring up your pen, try to write something about this. Just from A to Z. Okay. So here we have the first question. Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas have in common, in addition to being geographical terms, starting with the alphabet A also. Okay. And B, we have Bangkok, Bogota, Bujumbura. Okay. And C, Canada, Chile, and China. What do they have in common? Okay. D, Dallas, Denver, and Detroit. Okay. E, Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia. F, FLN, M, FMLN, FRELMO. Okay. G, it's all Guinea, right? H, Hanoi, Harare, Havana. I, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq. J, Jackson, Jefferson, Johnson. K, Kangwon, Gyeonggi, Gyeongsan. L, Ljubljana, Lisbon, and London. Okay, M, Malaysia, Maldives, and Mauritius. Okay, N, N'Djamena, Niamey, Nuakchot. Okay, Nuakchot. Okay. O, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon. P, Panama, Paraguay, Peru. Q, QI, QIN, QING. Okay. R, Rand, Ruble, and Rupee. S, Serbia, Slovakia, Slovenia. T, Tanzania, Togo, Tunisia. Okay. U, UNDP, UNEP, UNICEF, UNICEF. Okay. V, Valletta, Vatican City, and Vienna. W, Willem, Woodrow, and Warren. X, okay, yeah. Y, Yamoussoukro, Yaoundé, and Yerevan. Z. Okay, so this will be, some of the things you can think about, and I will try to give it to you in, by the end of the semester. Just an interesting question for you. Okay. Now, most of you have received my email, right? Okay. We do have a book here. This is the book, which I'm not promoting Obama, but he has written the book as a senator, thinking all the things about American politics before he ran for president. So everything was organized here. So when he delivered his speech, very clear. Okay, so that's Obama's book. Of course, this is too expensive, so you can have the paperback if you want, smaller, right? Cheaper, paperback, the same thing. And if you feel English is a little bit too difficult, the Chinese version here. Okay, so we have, the hardback and paperback and Chinese, if you want to use them. Okay, most of you should have my syllabus for you. I also send it to you. So you should have the syllabus from the net. Okay, I'm just going to go over this a little bit. Okay, this course aimed at introduction of American government and politics. So major elected office, including what? President, senators, congressmen, state governors, and nominating process, okay, caucuses and primaries, political parties, candidates, campaign issues, and financing, and the general election. In addition, we also have discussion on American foreign policy, and also going to look at the major speech of Obama. We have, I think, how many I've prepared for you? 8? Did I send all the speech to you? No? But, okay, in the syllabus, I think you do. You have that list, okay? So the textbook is this one, plus his speech. Okay, domestic politics, he has one in the commencement speech. Okay, most of you understand commencement, right? Beginning, which is also what? Graduation. We call commencement. Graduation ceremony, commencement. So that's the English word for graduation, which means you just only begun, right? Commencement. Is that how you spell commencement? Okay, and then we also have an inaugural speech when he became president in 2009. We also have his victory speech in Chicago back in November 4th, 2008. And also acceptance of nomination speech at Denver during the Democratic National Convention in August 2008. And then we also have his keynote speech at the Democratic National Convention in Boston back in 2004, which helped him to become a national figure because he gave a wonderful speech, okay, in 2004. So those are for domestic politics. We also have 4 speeches for foreign policy. One is in Cairo University in Egypt in June 2009. And then in April, in Turkish Parliament, 2009. And then we also have one in Berlin, 2008. We should also have one in Ghana as well, in July 2009. And finally, we have another one coming. We don't know when. Beijing. He's going to visit Beijing in November this year. So we're going to cover that. That will be for foreign policy. So we're going to learn American government from his book and also from his speech. The reason I do this is it's easier to read his book than to read a boring textbook. Okay? But from the book, we will learn a lot about American politics. Other things? Let me see. Okay, we do have... you should read the rest for your information. But there is a midterm exam, which 35%, final exam 35%, and then you have to do a report on a state, okay, which you have to give the state 10 major information: the name of the state, the capital of the state, the year the state became part of the U.S., population, governor, including the dates they got elected, 2 senators, and name of the representative, and including their party identification, which party do they belong to, and number of electoral college vote, and whether the state voted for Republican or Democratic in the general election since 1960, and then finally, name of the presidential candidate winning the state in 2004 and 2008. Okay, so those, and then finally we have a map test. Okay, you're supposed to identify the 50 states of the U.S. If you fail, I will give you another try and another try and another try until you finally pass it. So 50, at least I'm not asking you to spell all the names. Okay, I'll give you the name, you just put them in the right place. Okay, so that's the syllabus. Okay, let me see. I'm just trying to go through here the student names. Okay, is it here? No? Okay, later after the class, just check with me. Okay, if you read the book, I asked you about the book. You would know this Obama's book here. Where is my Obama's book? Okay. Basically, very easy things. He has few things, starting with the prologue about why he wrote the book, but then begin to talk about Republicans and Democrats. Okay? Of course, we should know more about the two words. I think it's easy for us to understand what is a Democrat. Everybody understand what is a Democrat. Small d or capital D. Okay. If you say I'm a Democrat, okay, means you believe in democratic value. And if you say I am a Democrat with a capital D, means you belong to the Democratic Party. You're a Democratic Party member. So Democratic Party is in power right now in the United States. The Democratic Party is also in power where? Japan. Right? So you can be a Democrat, you know. It's part of the ruling party in both Japan and the United States. So that's a small d and big D. Okay, what is a Republican? Okay, let's try that word. I mean, I know that word, Republican, very difficult to understand. Wang Tingru, what do we mean by republic? Okay, we have Republic of China. We have People's Republic of China. What is republic? Okay, you say republic means I'm eating rice, huh? Right? Something. I'm eating 口和, right? 口和共和, Okay. Something. Okay. So, what do we mean by 共和? 共和, wow, what's your first impression when you learn 共和? Oh, Sun Yat-sen established the first republic of Asia. What does that mean? 共和. Is it like everybody is kind of in harmony? Okay, so no king. So most of the countries right now, no we call monarchy anymore. But not every country has a republic form of government. For example, some of the ancient Greek city-states. Okay, sometimes we have a democracy in the Greek city-states. Smaller places you have democracy, no king, no monarchy, but we don't call them republic. Republic is not just non-monarchy. Republic is also one more thing, representative form of government. Okay, so 共和, I don't know why we use that word. 共和, anyone know why we use that 共和? Because 共和 doesn't tell you anything. Does 共和 tell you something? 共产党很好, 和平? No. What do you mean by 共和? Okay, 共和 representative government, which is really talking about a form of government. So, Republican and Democrat. But nowadays, okay, when you say I am a Republican, okay, you do not believe in king, right? You believe in representative form of government. So some of the French people always have a problem. Okay, the French, you always have competition between two groups. One is the monarchist, They love the kings, right? One is the Republican. Okay, so 100 years ago in China, right, about this time, the Qing dynasty came to an end. But there were some people who still loved the emperor. So a few years later, we have the revive of the emperor, Fu Pi, because some people just love emperor, right? When I was growing up in Taiwan back in the 60s, I have older people told me, Sang Yat-sen did it just to a little bit, 太超过, overthrow the monarchy, right? Chinese need monarchy. Okay? So Republican means representative form of government, no more monarchy, no more inherited office. So that's Republican. But today, when we talk about Republican, especially Republican in the United States, we will have a different meanings. For example, right now, what's the most debated issue in the United States? 陈品任. What's the most debated issue right now in the United States? Obama went on to television and talked to the little school kids about this particular issue. Yes? Healthcare. Okay. Healthcare is not a big deal in Taiwan because we all have healthcare, right? But healthcare is a big deal in the United States. And somehow the Republicans in the United States are very much opposed to healthcare. You know, think of this in Taiwan. Like, why are you opposed to healthcare? Everybody needs healthcare. But Republicans say, well, if we have healthcare sponsored by the government, which will limit the choice. Okay, so remember this. Republicans always talk about different choices. They feel opportunity, so there are some we call buzzwords. Republican Party talk about freedom, not freedom in terms of personal freedom, but economic freedom. They talk about choice. They talk about opportunity. And then the Democrats probably would be talking about equality, talking about pluralistic form of government, talk about harmony, but Republicans do talk about choice. So the first chapter talk about the difference of the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay? In Taiwan, we have two major parties. We have the green and the blue. In the United States, they have what? The blue and the red. Right? So maybe another country should have red and green. I don't know. To compete with each other. And then the values. Okay, this is what Obama talked about. His belief that certain important values in the U.S. And then Constitution. Okay, Obama himself is a constitutional legal scholar. He taught constitutional law in University of Chicago. So he liked to go back to the Constitution a lot. And, it's always good if you are a politician. Always have Constitution, know what you are doing. So this is Constitution. And then he talked about politics, opportunity. That's the Republican word. Okay? But he's a Democrat, you know that. And then faith, put it here. He doesn't use religion. Okay? He used faith. But basically he's talking about religion. But religion is more like in the United States, become more like organized. When you talk about a church, a particular belief, but in addition to that belief, you also have this organization. But faith is quite personal. Race, okay, and then the world beyond the borders, which he deals with like Iraq, Afghanistan, all different places, foreign policy issue. And then family, and then epilogue. So that's the outline of the book. Hopefully you can follow that. And give you just a little bit background of Obama, and that will help you also. because first he was elected in 1996 as a state senate. Okay, state senator is different from a U.S. senators, right? The United States has 50 states, and each state has their own, we call state assembly or state senate, the two houses. Okay, upper house is we call Senate, lower house we call state assembly or a house, state house. So you have two branches of, or two chambers of the parliament at the state level. Every state is the same except one state. One state, only one in the United States. There is one single house, parliament, single house assembly. It's in Nebraska. Okay. Otherwise, you also have this. So this is the upper one. Okay, state senator. He was the elected state senator, and state senator usually serve 4 years, and state representative usually serve 2 years. So he was elected to fill out someone's vacancy in 1996 and got re-elected in 1998, and then a second term 2002. Okay, so state senate, as a state senator elected from Chicago area for the state of Illinois. So he will go to the state capital in Illinois. Anyone familiar with Illinois at all? Where is the state capital of Illinois? Let's try. Would that help? No? Chuntian, what is it? Springfield. Okay. So Springfield is the Illinois capital. So you have to travel to the state capital. Sometimes a politician is willing to be a state senator rather than become a U.S. congressman or U.S. representative, because being a U.S. congressman or senator means you have to go to Washington, D.C. That's very far. Okay, so they rather have... So that's his background. And then in 2000, he tried to win this seat, U.S. representative, okay, which you have 435. Illinois has about 20. He wanted to be one of the representatives representing Illinois in Washington, D.C., and he lost the election. And in 2004, he won the Democratic nomination as well as the general election and become the U.S. Senator. And these are the committees he served. Okay, so Foreign Relations Committee. That's the committee brought him to places like Middle East, Afghanistan, Russia, all that, because he was a member of this foreign relation. Also, veteran affairs, very important, especially in the United States, because so many people went to war. Okay, in Taiwan, like how many of us went to war? Let's think about it. The last time we have a soldier who actually went to war, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, 51 years ago, huh? Barasan is 1958, so 51 years ago. So let's think about this guy who was 18 years old. He's 69, right, today. So anyone under 65, all those active in duty stars in Taiwan never been to a battle. Okay, but, well, we still call him veteran. Right? Okay, next one, environment and public work. Okay, this is where I think you can bring in some we call pork barrel to your district. In Chinese, we call 肉桶. Okay? But here in Taiwan, what do we call? Basically, public work, public, construction back to your district. So even if you, in the countryside, for example, in Taiwan, in Hsinchu County, okay, Hsinchu County, very spacious, right? But people built garage for parking. 停车立体停车场新竹县 Do we need that? I don't know. I mean, I lived in Hsinchu County one time. For 5 years, I lived in Chongling. Now, how many people will pay money to park in a 立体停车场 garage where you have all the space everywhere? But you get something, so some people get, we call pork barrel. Okay, pork barrel, just something you can bring into your home states. Some senators are very good in doing that. One senator moved CIA from Washington, D.C. to West Virginia, because he has been a senator from West Virginia right now for 50 years. Okay? So he was able to do that. We call pork barrel. So public work, you will have a lot of that. Health, education, labor, and pension. There's a very democratic, we call barter issue. Okay, means the most important issue for Democratic Party. Homeland security is more for Republican, I think. But that's all he served in the different committees. A senator will serve at least 2 to 3 committees, at least 3. Okay, a House representative only serve maybe 1 or 2, at the most 2, because you have 435 of them. But senator, you only have 100, so they have limited role in limited numbers, so they have to serve more committees. So that's Obama's background, and he wrote this book when he was elected U.S. Senator in 2004. He started to write the book in 2005, finished in 2006, and then 2007 he declared his candidacy for, I think by the end of 2007, he declared his candidacy for U.S. President. And so everything was organized here. That's easier for him to deliver the speech. Okay. For example, if you have never you have never thought about the issue before, and suddenly you need to debate that. What do? We call in Taiwan, we call 补习二补, right? Crank up in the evening, just try to digest everything, and then the next day during the debate, you just recite what you know, and then people ask you another question, and suddenly you lost. Okay, this happened to Republican vice presidential candidate, a lady called Sarah Palin, because she never thought about the national issue before, and then suddenly she became the vice presidential candidate. So it's very difficult, digest, and then she had diarrhea, so it's not very good. 消化不良. So here, this is the book we're going to talk about, and I think we will start with the American institution, with the separation of party in power. Okay. Obama is a senator, was a senator before. Now he became the president. So as a senator, he talked about passing laws. Okay. Both at the state level as well as at the federal level. Congress, senators, congressmen, they are passing law. Okay, that's their main duty. So if we look at the American government, one branch of the government we call the legislative branch is the Congress, and Congress pass law. Okay, so that's what they do. They raise tax, okay, but not raise tax, but they raise revenue, basically. They decide what to tax. America is a federal system, so in addition to federal tax, they also have state tax. They also have local tax, like municipality. Okay, so sometimes you go to buy certain things. You know, they say 99 cents. America loves to do that. You know, going to the market, supermarket, everything is $9.99, $6.99. Yeah, you say, well, $7. You know, give me 1 cent for change. No, because $6.99 plus tax. Okay, plus tax. What kind of tax? Maybe sales tax. Sales tax is different every state. Okay, every state will have a different sales tax. Usually 5 to 7%. Some states 8%. Okay, I came from I stayed in a state that without sales tax. We love it. Alaska, because they have too much oil, so all the revenue. So we never paid sales tax. Okay, so that's the tax. But what kind of tax does the Congress raise right now? Social Security, right? About 7.75% of your income will go to the Social Security that will help you in the old age. While other tax, they have federal income tax. That's how you decide. Income tax, we call progressive tax. That's a very important idea. Do we have? Okay, progressive tax versus flat tax. Sales tax is a flat tax, 5%, 7%. Okay. Yeah, do you understand what is a flat tax? You go to buy things, everything, the tax rate is the same. We call flat tax. So in Taiwan, you go to eat in a restaurant, what would be the tax? Percentage. Yeah, a little bit fancy restaurant. Okay, like the one you took your girlfriend to the Valentine's. Okay, now I'm not talking about right across the street. Okay, here. I'm talking about some nice hotel. You know, they give you this Christmas big meal or Valentine meal. How much do you have to pay tax? Yeah, like okay, let's say $1,000. But they still want you to pay additional tax for that meal because it is in a restaurant. 10%. Okay, so that's flat. Okay, so in this restaurant, if you eat 1,000, that's 10%. 10,000, that's still 10%. We call flat tax. Okay, flat tax, if it's applied to sales tax, rich people, poor people pay the same rate. But progressive tax is different. Progressive tax, like our income tax. Okay, the more you make, the higher the rate you have to pay for tax. So, for example, our income tax right now, I think we have I'm not sure about the lower bracket. I think it's 7%, and then 13%, 21%, 30%. Okay? So if you make too much money, you have to pay 30% of your income. If you pay, get like, university professor, I think you usually between 13% or 21% of our income tax. That's what we call progressive tax. Question here. If we talk about Democrats and Republicans, now which one do you think support what kind of tax? Xu Anli. Yeah. Okay, now, Democrats and Republican, progressive and flat. Okay, just make a choice here. Ms. Xu, what do you think? Okay, Democratic Party always argue for progressive tax. The Republicans said flat tax. Why? Because the same rate, then I will work really hard to earn more money. The rate is still the same, even though you say, well, percentage is the same, you still pay more. But I think rich people are willing to do that. But if I make a lot of money and then found out suddenly I become 50%, taxable, then I said, wow, I'm not going to make that money, right? Because that much money I made all going to the government. And Republican Party doesn't trust government. They do not think the government is a good thing. Okay, if the president, the icon, we call it, the icon of Republican Party, President Reagan once said very important idea about Republican view of government. He said, people look up to the government for the solution of their problem and find out the government is the problem. Okay, I think we can apply that to Taiwan as well, right? Elsewhere, that, government is not the solution to your problem. Government is the problem. Okay, that's the Republican view. The Democratic Party, on the other hand, believe only the government can help, especially helping the poor, the disadvantaged people. But if you have a flat rate, rich people going to buy a car, they pay 17% tax. Poor people go to buy car, also pay 17%. Okay, so that's too much, money for the poor. So Republican for flat rate, Democratic Party for progressive, raising tax, regulate foreign and interstate commerce. Okay, now what do we mean? Foreign commerce, I think we all understand, international trade. But what is interstate commerce? Interstate. Okay, if you travel in the United States, like they have highway, like in Taiwan we have Highway 1, have Highway 3, Highway 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? 1, 3, 5, First highway is 1, second highway is 3, the Highway 5 is Taipei to Yilan. Okay, that's north and south. It's 1, 3, 5. And then Highway 2, I think is the airport one. Okay, 4 is somewhere in Taichung. 6 also from Taichung to Nantou, all the way to Riyuetan, Samung Lake. Right, that's 6. And then 8, I think, is somewhere in Tainan. And then 10, Kaohsiung. Okay. In America, they also have this highway, like 5, 10, 15. That's north and south. Okay. And then east and west is like 10, 20, 30. But they all call those interstate. 5, interstate. So what do we mean by inter? What does international mean? International? Heziyi. What? Between national. Okay, so among the nations. Between the nations. So inter means among or between. So interstate is what? Between the states. Now, In Taiwan, is that okay? Well, okay, right now because we don't have. Okay, we have county, but do we have any problem like people saying Taoyuan County product selling to Hsinchu County? We're going to tax it. No, I don't think we have that, right? But interstate commerce, sometimes in the United States, because it's a federal system, you have a certain follow certain things you have to do. So they regulate, means somehow give regulation on this. Congress also only declare war. Okay. Now here is an interesting thing. Usually the American president will go to war himself. Okay, I use himself because Hillary didn't become president. So there is no female president yet. Okay, so here they go to war, but officially war has to be declared by the Congress. There are a lot of war in America never declared. Okay, Vietnam War was never declared. Like American Congress didn't pass or saying we declare war on Vietnam. Okay, just happened. So it's there. It's nice to have your Congress, Senate to support you to declare war. But if not, some American president felt, well, I have to go to war first. So in 1970, they passed a new rule called War Power Act, saying the president, if you fight a war, you have to somehow, inform the Congress and, allow the Congress to declare war. So that's one. Raise and fund the military. Okay, this is a big issue right now. See whether you follow the news at all. 曾权博在哪？写名手有吗？在哪？ Oh, did I make a mistake? Okay. 郭立玲. Yeah. United States right now, at this moment, is talking about sending more military to another country. Where? To Taiwan? No. Where? Where is America fighting a war right now? Iraq. But Iraq, I think it's about to be end. I think Obama said by 2012, going to withdraw all the military. So I don't think they're adding new forces. But they're adding new forces to another battlefield. Where? This country is strange. They had an election last month. They just finished counting like 3 weeks. In Taiwan, like 30 minutes, we will know the result, right? Oh, okay, 3 hours. Okay. But 30 days, 3 weeks, which country had an election in August, and we just learned the final result? It's in the middle of very, very difficult to define this country. I don't know whether it belongs to Middle East or belong to South Asia or Central Asia. Just in there can be Middle East, can be Central Asia, can be South Asia. Which country? No, you don't know this one? Okay, let's try another student. See whether you follow American election or war at all. Lin Zhenghao. Yeah, which one? Iran? American already went to Iran? Wow. They didn't learn any lesson from 1979? They were held hostages? No, I don't think it's Iran. I mean, Iran, you don't mess up with Iran. Like Serena Williams said, you don't mess up with me. You don't mess with me. Okay? So I don't think United States would dare to go to Iran. We'll be humiliated. Chen Yanru. Liu Zhiquan. Hey, these are the one, okay. Which country? What? Georgia. Georgia is we call in the sphere of influence of Russia, right? Why would United States go so far to very close to Russia and send forces there? And do you think Russia would be happy to see that? No. Not Georgia, okay? We just passed this September 11, only last week, right? So let's think about this more. Li Xingyi, Vietnam. America is still sending forces to Vietnam now? No, we're talking about now. 9/11. What was 9/11 about? Yeah, Afghanistan. Okay, Afghanistan and United States right now is debating whether to reinforce, adding additional forces there because, September 11. How many years since September 11 took place? Can you do the math? 2009 minus 2001. That's 2008. No, 8 years ago, right? Okay, 8 years ago, United States went into Afghanistan because of the war. And September 11, in remember of this tragedy, and then 2 days later, September 13, what happened? Bin Laden sent another tape. But this time without the video, just his picture. But then he began to talk again. So Bin Laden is still at large. You understand at large? At large means, still somewhere there. Okay, not being arrested. So Bin Laden is still at large after 8 years. You want to add forces into Afghanistan, and already 68,000 Americans are there. Okay, so the Congress said, no. Can you tell me when will our boys be coming home? Not just boys, I think now also women. Okay, men and women, okay, can come home. So raise and fund the military. That's Congress is debating. Interestingly, Obama's opposition came from the Democratic Party. Okay, especially some of the female senators like Feinstein of California question. Also, some Republican female senators are asking, just cannot fund a war that's never ended, right? So that's funding the military. Borrow money. Oh, America needs to borrow a lot of money, right? Since the, what do we call, financial, what do we call last year? Financial crisis? Just a crisis or tsunami? What is it? So we have that, okay? So they have to begin to borrow money, a lot of money. And you need Congress. And some of you may have followed the news last year. The Republicans said, no, we cannot do that. We cannot just keep borrowing money from the government. But interesting is the Republican government that failed, okay? So borrow money or issue bonds. And bonds, that's another problem here. Okay, I think Obama and other people felt that United States bonds have been purchased by China. So China is controlling the United States. So that's what Congress do. Okay, President Obama, Commander-in-Chief of the military, makes treaty with other countries. Okay, but here there is a caveat, means there is a condition here. You can sign a treaty, but the treaty has to be, we call, ratified by Congress. So what treaty has not been ratified? Fail. Okay, sometimes American president would not sign a treaty. But sometimes they sign a treaty, the Congress said, no, we don't want it. Okay, the classic example was in the 1920s when American President Woodrow Wilson signed the Treaty of Versailles and tried to get the United States to become a member of the League of Nations. The Senate refused to ratify. So America was never in that organization. So that's one. Appointing ambassadors or federal judges and Supreme Court justice. Ambassador, in America, a lot of time you find people who donate money to the president's campaign will be able to get a good ambassadorship somewhere. Okay, of course, they will not give the ambassadorship to Great Britain, to China, or to other important countries to just an amateur. But you will find a lot of this, like, who is this guy? Who is this lady? Oh, just give more money to the campaign. And they got an ambassadorship, maybe in Jamaica, small, tiny Caribbean island, good sunshine, great golf course, So those, you appoint ambassador. And federal judges and Supreme Court justice. Okay, we just had one being appointed by Obama recently. So see whether you follow this at all. Zhuang Zicheng. Do you know that? There are only 9 judges, Supreme Court justice. One has been recently replaced by Obama. First Hispanic lady being appointed, okay, Sotomayor. Okay, she is the first Hispanic lady. So appointment of Supreme Court justice, and we will learn that later. A president can appoint a Supreme Court justice. So usually what do? You find someone who has very similar view, right? That's you want to, we call appoint like-minded people, reflecting your philosophy. But because it is a life term, sometimes you appoint someone and that person just turn out to be totally different from your expectation. And then not just that, they are different, holding different view for the rest of their life. Maybe 30 years in Supreme Court. Okay, so the president has to be very careful here. That's the Supreme Court. And they administer U.S. law and also act as head of state. So those are the president according to the Constitution. And finally, we have the Supreme Court, the 3 branches of government, review federal or lower or federal court rulings and appeals. Okay, I think we know about the word appeals right now, right? Li Hongzhi. What is appeal? We just had a president being sentenced to life term in Taiwan, right? And then we have a debate. Some people, strangely, like President Chen has never been in Taiwan or something. They said, well, come on, just give up your appeal. What is appeal? Like you want another trial, you want another, higher court to review the ruling. That's why you appeal. What is appeal? Right? Appeal means 上诉 Okay. So appeal from state courts, they involve federal law or constitutional issues. So appeal is part of the rights of the people as well as the court. So you can do that. And then here cases involve foreign ambassador as first and final courts. Okay. Rule on dispute between the states. Okay. There are a lot of dispute. between the different states. So this is Supreme Court. So I give you the three branches of government. The executive branch represented by the president, legislative branch by Congress, and then judicial branch represented by the Supreme Court here. But if you look at American Constitution and the order I gave you, first one is what? Congress. So Congress is the first branch of government, not the president, not the executive. It's the, if we talk about republic, congressmen and congresswomen are the ones who represent us. Okay, they are more important than the president. So these are the three branches of government. What do we use the word? We use the word separation of power. Right? Very important idea. Separation of power. Means power is not concentrated in one branch of government. Separation of power. Sometimes people say it's not separation, but fragmentation of power. Means you don't have enough power. The president said, I cannot do a lot of things because my hands are tied. My hands are tied by the Congress. Like, I want to fight a war, but Congress will not fund my military. So that's the reason we cannot win this war. Only if the Congress will approve additional funding, then we will win the war. Okay, that's what I think the president during the Vietnam War era continued to fool everyone. Say, just a little bit more, we're going to win. No. Okay, a little bit more. Still there. And then finally, well, why don't we have an honorable retreat? Okay, so you're not going to win the war, but this is what they discuss. Okay, we will stop here and then come back to look at check and balance, okay, of the three branches of government. All the Z here. Who are these three people? Zhao Ziyang. Okay. And the second one? ZH is zhi, right? And Z is zi. So Zhao Ziyang. And then the second one? Zhou Enlai. The third one? Zhu Rongji. Okay. So what do they have in common? In addition to being names starting with the alphabet Z. Yeah, Chinese. Thank you. But please, okay, revolutionist. I'm not sure about Zhao Ziyang. Yeah, he is a revolutionary. Okay, what else? Members of Communist Party. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they serve very high positions. If they are not Communist Party member, they probably cannot, right? Why don't we just narrow down a little bit more? They must have been members of, we call, Politburo before. 政治局, Politburo. What else? They all serve as premier of China before. 总理, 赵紫阳总理, 朱镕基总理, 周恩来总理. Now, who is 总理 right now? Who is 总理 of China right now? 总理国父孙中山 No, 总理 Who is Chinese premier now? 温家宝. Okay, so somehow I think you know maybe I have a chance because your last name started with W, like my name is Y and Z. You have to come from very back of the alphabets. But anyway, if you want to be the next Prime Minister of China, better be someone like, maybe next one will be Zhang, Z-H-A-N-G. So that's one for you. And this one, how about this? Xi Jinping, Deng Xiaoping, Wang Dongxing. Communist Chinese, thank you, Chinese. They are Chinese. And Communist Party members, I think so. But also they are Politburo members. Okay, 政治局常委. So, okay, let's find one more interesting in America. Oh, this one. How about Q? All this Q. What do they have in common? Now, first of all, how do you, Q is Chinese 爆破莫佛七. So Q-I-N-G is what? Qing. Q-I-N-G is like ching, 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 ching. Okay. And Q-I-N is qing, qing. 亲爱的亲. Q-I is what? Qi. Okay, let me give you them the tone. Okay, would that help you? Second tone. Second tone. First tone. 齐请亲. Dynasties of China. How about that? You said, wait a second, Professor, there is no dynasty. This is a kingdom. No, we do have, right? 宋齐梁陈 North and South dynasties. 南北朝, right? 有一个齐朝. Okay. So, okay, the rest I'll try to, you will do some of those in the future. This one, what is that? Anyone know about this? Okay, maybe if I add a D-O at the end, would that help you? Like Gangwon-do, Gyeonggi-do, Gyeongsan-do? Yeah, Korea. Okay, so KKK. Oh, 3Ks. Oh, American 3Ks, not good. These are all the do of Korea. What is a do? Nam-do, Bak-do? 不是板豆哦 Bak-do. Bak-do, Nam-do. That help? You watch so much, so many Korean movies. Do you know about anything about this? Like Nam-do, Bak-do. They are provinces, like Gyeongsan-nam-do, Qing-shang-nan-do. 没听过. Okay. Gangwon-do. What is Gangwon-do? Gangwon-do. No, this is their province. Okay, Gangwon-do is the province to the northeast. And what is Gyeonggi? Gyeonggi is the capital. How do you write this one? Like this? Okay. and 空上清上. Okay. I think the rest is easier. So you know my idea about all this, right? So you just do something strange. This 3. Why this 3? Okay. We're not going to do that. So we have this separation of power of the 3 major branches of government, and they are also, checking each other, check and balance. Okay. Nowadays, some people said check and balance means you receive a paycheck, a check, and then put in your bank to balance, right? They said, no, that's not congressmen do. Congressman means check and balance is not taking money and put in your bank. Okay? Check and balance means you try to holding other branches of government accountable, responsible. So for example, Congress versus President. How does Congress check the power of the President? Veto. Okay. First, what is a veto? Okay, let me try veto. 李雄豪. Okay, what is veto? V-E-T-O. Okay, put it this way. When you took the, college entrance examination or something, you decide to come to Tsinghua, but you can also probably go to Taiwan. Did your parent have a veto power over the decision you made? They say, I always want to go to Taiwan. So, my son, you have to go there. So they force you and you have to accept. That's what the parent will have a veto power over your own decision. What is veto? Or, your girlfriend, your future spouse, I don't know whether your mother has a veto power. 你妈妈有没有否决权？你妈妈对你们学校有没有否决权？或者对你的男女朋友有没有否决权？We don't know, right? Yes?
So a vote, we can block a decision?
What veto means, if you pass something, I said, no, it can't. Okay, the president can veto any legislation. Okay, but the Congress can override the veto. Why? Okay, for example, veto, okay, what kind of vote do you need to pass a law? For example, 犯家长. Yeah, if you want to pass a law, what kind of percentage of vote you need to have, at least? 50%, right? Only 50%. As long as it has one more vote than you, I pass the law. But the president can veto the law. Now, but if it's a majority's view, overwhelming majority, everybody likes it, but the president still veto it, and then you can override the veto. And what kind of percentage of vote do you think you need to override a veto? 70 or 80? Not that much. 67%. 2/3. So 2/3 you can override a veto. So, okay, let's suppose right now, American Senate, we have 100 senators, right? Democratic Party has about 60, Republican about 40. So Democrat can easily pass anything now. Obama as Democratic president probably will not veto. But if happened to be Bush as the president, Bush can veto everything. But Democratic Party only 60, do not have 67, so they cannot override the veto if every Republican stay with the president. But at least you can override the veto if it's too strange. Okay. Now, during President Bush, as president, he didn't veto legislation. The first time he vetoed one is we call stem cell research. You all know stem cell research? 干细胞. Okay, stem cell. So that's the first one he vetoed. Okay. And after he vetoed it, you cannot override the veto because there are enough Republicans to stay with him. Okay. So that's the veto and overriding veto. So president, yes, he can veto the Congress law, but Congress can override the veto. Congress can approve or reject the president's budget. So that's, control of what we call the pocket. Third one, ratify treaties. Okay? You sign a treaty, the Congress might not want to ratify. One example was way back in 1978 and 79. How many of you heard of this country called Panama? Panama? Oh, you all know Panama? Famous for what? Panama Canal. Okay, so you all know Panama Canal. But Panama Canal, the area has been occupied by the Americans for a long time. Until 79, they decided to return to Panamanian government. The Americans Senate, a lot of people said, we built that canal. That canal is ours. They refused to give it back. So it has a big problem. Carter signed a treaty with Panamanian government, say we will return to you. A lot of the senators refused to ratify that treaty. Okay? But finally, with some persuasion, it finally passed. But it was a big debate. So ratification, 核准 签准叫什么？不是叫，不是条约批准条约啊 I think that's the word they use. 批准 I don't know why. It's like a professor. P something. So ratifying the treaty. Fourth one, you can approve president's cabinet nomination, ambassadors and others. Okay, president nominate. Cabinet members, the ministers, we don't call minister in the United States. What do we call them? I don't know why we call them secretary. Okay, secretary in our view is like secretary. But secretary of state, 国务卿, secretary of interior, 内政部长, right? Okay, those nominations can be rejected by the cabinet. Okay, so sometimes some of the nominees feel that they will not pass this process. They will withdraw their names. So avoid the humiliation. So that's nomination of cabinets. And ambassadors. Some of the ambassadors I mentioned just donate money. They might not be, not good enough, will be rejected. And also Supreme Court justice, you can reject the president's nomination. They can investigate. Okay, that's the difference between Taiwan's legislators. They don't have the power to do a lot of investigation. And then reorganize executive departments. May impeach the president. What is impeach? 杨代峰 陶晶莹自称是 impeach. I am peach. 我是桃子。What is impeach? 桃子 impeach. 我是桃子。弹劾 ，Yeah, OK. 这样连得起来吗？桃子弹桃 ，OK. But anyway, 弹劾总统 ，OK, impeach. So in the history of the United States, okay, 2 presidents were impeached. one president almost got impeached. So guess who? 林敬琪. Which president was impeached, but they failed to remove him, not enough votes? The president who said, I do not have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. I did, but I do not now. Okay? I did before, but I do not have sex. Bill Clinton. Okay, so Bill Clinton was impeached. Okay, but the vote was not there. But he was impeached. The process went. Another president was the president after Lincoln, called Andrew Johnson, was impeached. One vote short. Okay, so he survived. And then President Nixon was about to be impeached. He resigned. Okay, so the process did. But that's the power, okay? Impeachment. So Congress can do something, and Congress can also check and balance the power of Supreme Court. So here, constitutional amendment to override rulings. Okay. Can we think of an example? For example, Supreme Court has decided to certain things, so the Congress can pass a new amendment that will, override. Because new amendment means what? Means part of the new Constitution. 增修条文. Okay, so you're adding new Constitution. You define the new law. So that's what you can do. Second one, you can change the size of the Supreme Court and the number of the lower court justice. So Supreme Court, right now, United States has 9 justices, but can be 11, can be 7. So Congress can do that. They can reject or approve the Supreme Court nominees. Okay. Now, any justice right now is nominated by the president, and if he is pro-life instead of pro-choice, 假如他热爱生命而不是热爱选择, okay, he will not pass. So, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by pro-life and pro-choice? What do you mean by pro-life and pro-choice? Lin Boyu. Yeah. Pro-life, 支持生命, 热爱生命. What's wrong with that? In Taiwan, this is not an issue. In America, it's a big issue. Because pro-life, pro-choice, you didn't see that buzzword, that key word called abortion. Do you understand what is abortion? Okay, what is abortion? 堕胎. But so pro-life and pro-choice are 2 different positions about abortion. So what do we mean here? Pro-life, pro-choice. Pro-choice is pro-abortion. Oh, how many people are pro-abortion? No, right? Pro-life is anti-abortion. But both are being, put a better name now. Pro-life. 我支持生命 means I do not want to have abortion. Pro-choice, I support women's choice to keep the baby or to abort. But I don't say that. I just support women's choice. So right now, Supreme Court justice, if they said, I am against abortion, first of all, I don't think they would get nominated by Obama. But even if Obama, was blind and nominate someone, the Democratic Senate will not approve that. Okay, so that's how they can reject. Last time, way back in 1988, one Supreme Court Justice nominee by the name of B-O-R-K, not P-O-R-K, Bork, okay, not pork, okay, B-O-R-K. This guy called Robert Bork, he was nominated, but he is such a pro-life person that everybody said, if he became the Supreme Court Justice, then women will not have a safe abortion because it will become illegal, and then you have to go to the back alleys in Taiwan. What do we call? Maybe 台湾叫什么？到密医 secret doctor. I don't know why we call secret doctor, but anyway, back alley doctor to have the abortion which will not be safe. So this one of the very brilliant mind in American legal profession was rejected simply because he took the position. He said he was very clear. He's pro-choice, pro-life, and the Democratic Party was majority in the Senate, so they rejected him. So that's how they check. Impeach federal judges as well, okay? So that's Congress versus Supreme Court. And then we have, okay, President can also check the power of Congress. First, we mentioned veto, right? President can veto a law. Some presidents love to use veto. You know, President Ford was only in office for 2 years, used more than 2 dozen, 3 dozens of vetoes. Okay, just love veto. Of course, at that time, Democratic Party was controlling the Congress. You can order special session if it's needed. You say, hey, Congressman, come back from your summer vacation, you know, having such a good time. Come back to Washington, D.C. You know, everybody wants to take the summer vacation because Washington, D.C. is like a furnace in the summer. Okay, I was in Washington, D.C. teaching one summer. 9 o'clock, I came out of the subway. 9 o'clock in the evening, temperature was 91 degrees, which was about 33? Yeah, 33 degrees, okay? And also very humid as well. So everybody escaped the Washington furnace. Like China. China has 3 furnaces, right? 中国也有3大火炉。哪3大? No, it's in the Yangtze River. 南京、武汉、重庆. Okay, don't go there during the summer. So order special session to get them back to meet, to discuss things. Exert political pressure. Okay, what president can do political pressure. For example, if Obama tried to pass the health care now, and if he knows certain Republican congressmen representing, let's say, New York City or some, metropolitan area with a lot of low-income people, if you don't agree with the health care, the president will go directly to the voters and ask them to write to your congressman, write to your senator, saying, you need this bill. Okay, so that's how you exert political pressure. Or you can, try to get, saying, well, Mr. Jones is against health care. That's the reason we failed to pass this year. We're going to support another candidate to support President's health care bill. Okay, so that's also appeal directly to citizen. That's how you can do it. Reagan was very good in doing that. Okay, Obama tried to appeal to the school children. I don't know whether that's good. They don't have vote, but they probably can push their parents. Okay, so that's president. So accidentally, President, Supreme Court, okay, nominate Supreme Court justice. Okay, if you don't like the Supreme Court, at least you can wait when they retire, which rarely happen, or they die. Okay, because or they have health problem, then you can replace them. So you can replace them with people of your view. So sometimes Supreme Court justice, like there's a Supreme Court justice being there for 33 years. I think he's 87 now. But he refused to step down during President Bush time because he is a liberal. He doesn't want President Bush to appoint a conservative to replace him. So he just stick around. I think right now he should be able to retire. So sometimes, you know, people just waiting and waiting for someone else to become president, so the nomination. But president can change that, change the court easily. Okay, president can pardon people convicted under the federal law. So yeah, the court system, the legal system convicted someone, but president can pardon that. And president may refuse to enforce federal court orders. You can also sometimes do that. So that's one way to check the excesses of Supreme Court. Okay, Supreme Court to Congress. Okay, now Congress passed law, but Supreme Court sometimes can say, I'm sorry, this law is unconstitutional. Okay, example. People do not like congressmen or senators to serve for too long. So they said, why don't we have term limit? Term limit, okay, means you can only serve 3 terms. Like president, how many terms can a president serve? 2? Usually 2, right? In Taiwan, we have two-term president. But our president can be away for 4 years and then come back, right? Okay. Some other country just say 2-term, period. Okay, enough. My favorite area in Africa, everybody just try to extend, saying that's not fair. Look at all the prime ministers. Prime ministers do not have terms. Like Tony Blair, simply because he was handsome, he was prime minister for more than a decade, right? That's more than 2 terms, huh? What was the other prime minister with longer term? Australian's former prime minister Howard, served a long time, 4 terms, I think. And German chancellor Helmut Kohl, back from 82 to 98, 16 years. Nobody said Germany is undemocratic, right? But president can only serve 2 terms. So some of the country right now are removing the term limit. Like, hey, the guy who said I do not have sex, he was very popular, right? Clinton, and he retired at relatively young age. And so people said, if Clinton do not have the term limit, he will be re-elected again. Then the United States will never have Bush. So, but anyway, term limit in the United States only apply to president. Some people say, but the Congress, those people have been, we call, entrenched, stay there for a long time. Like the senator who recently passed away. Which one? After serving 47 years. Edward Kennedy, Teddy Kennedy, right? But he was a good senator, so passing so many bills. So if you have term limit, that would not be good. But there are a lot of people who just happen to stay there for, I think, beyond their time. At the end, the American court decided, saying the term limit for congressmen is unconstitutional. Why? Why the president can have term limit, why the congressman cannot? Interestingly, this is a law passed by, Congress, wanted to have term limit, and the constitutions, the Supreme Court said term limit is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said term limit for congressmen, if you have that, that will be detrimental, not to the advantage of Congress. Congress can check and balance the presidential power. But if congressmen also have term limit, then it will be difficult for them to exercise their power. But that's one law, okay? Another one, I think, Supreme Court can decide some of the things passed by the Congress. Put it this one, okay? Obama's health care. He has to reiterate one very important thing about this. He said, yes, the health care insurance will not cover abortion. Okay? Health care insurance will not cover abortion because he knows if it covered abortion, it will never pass. Okay? But if he passed that, and then maybe Supreme Court can say something as well. So that's how Supreme Court can deal with Congress. Supreme Court to the President. Of course, President's executive order can become unconstitutional. Something the President did, the Supreme Court said, sorry, it is unconstitutional. How do we say unconstitutional in Chinese here? 何宜敬 不是宪法。什么意思 ？unconstitutional， 不宪法的。中文应该是什么 ？What is it？ 非宪法的。我们是这样讲吗？中文？这件事情是非宪法的。总统，你的行为非宪法。违宪 ，OK， 违宪是违还是违宪？好像有点像假宪法啊。OK， 违反宪法 ，right？ 违宪 ，OK， 违还是违？违 second tone，OK， 违宪 ，or make it clear， 与宪法抵触 ，OK，unconstitutional， 与宪法抵触。So you can always do that. They can interpret the treaty signed by a president. So here, when we talk about check and balance, okay, President has power, but Congress and Supreme Court can both check the presidential power. And then, the three branches just checking each other's. People said, wait a second, you have, separation of power, and then you have check and balance. It's not going to be very efficient. Right? Because, Congress can always raise issues, and challenging the constitutionality. What is the Chinese word for this word? Constitutionality. Okay? 宪法 I think you might have to look at the dictionary to find out the word constitutionality. 宪法 Now, because the United States is a democracy, okay, democracy can be inefficient. Okay, the power can be fragmented, but it also avoid abuse of power. Miss Xu, what is the word? Miss Xu, what is the word? Constitutionality? It doesn't have a. Okay, change your dictionary. 宪法合乎宪法 but that's something, okay, but you get the idea. For example, is putting our former president for life term in prison, Is it constitutional? Okay. Is it against the constitutionality of our, law? And so this is the question I think we need to ask. So the reason we have separation of power, inefficiency in government, because we have a democracy. Democracy is not going to can be credited with a lot of good things, but the efficiency is never the one. Okay, you want efficiency, you go to authoritarian system, like China, right? Removing things real fast. 钉子户 can only stay for I don't know how long, but in Taiwan we can, 钉子户 have a nice time in Taiwan. Okay, but 钉子户 in China, beware. Okay, so this is a democracy, separation of power, check and balance. Between the different branches of government, and then there is also another separation of power. Okay, separation of power between the central government and the local government. Okay, in Taiwan we probably do not see that as a major thing, but separation of power also between the central and local. In America we call federation or federalism. So federation, 联邦, federalism, 联邦主义, means you have a central government taking care of certain important things. Then you have a local government taking care of other issues, okay, relating to people. For example, what central government always take care of what? Defense, foreign affairs, right? Local government, maybe education, maybe health care, maybe some kind of law enforcement. That's under the local control. So in the United States, you will find this separation of power reflecting in the federation. So different states will have different views on certain things. One example, death penalty. Okay, not every state in the U.S. has death penalty. So if you decide to kill someone, please go to the right state. Okay? Don't go to Texas. Okay, because Texas, when Bush was the governor, he was called the butcher of Texas because he executed many people. You are on a death row. You're waiting to die. But if you kill someone like Alaska, the most you can get is 99 years. Yeah, but I don't think you can get out, alive. But still, so that's one. Okay, just one. Tax will be different. You say, wow, you go to this state, they have certain tax. So this is unimaginable in Taiwan. We have one system. We finally have something different with our education textbook. You probably used it one version, right? When you were in high school. 你们在读高中已经换好多本了吗？一纲多本了。Wow. Okay. Used to be, wow, so simple. Just one textbook, right? Especially like a Chinese history, geography, just one textbook. France, as a centralized system, the Minister of Education can say, this week in my classroom, from Paris all the way to the rural areas in the Southwest, they are teaching this. They know that, which textbook. In America, every school district can decide the textbook. Okay, and now in Taiwan, we are also doing the same thing, right? We can have some text. So a federation, separation of power, which reflect the regional differences. Okay, but strangely enough, before we ended it, they have one thing I think they should do differently, but they didn't do. It's called minimum wage. Okay, 最低工资 minimum wage. It's the same for all 50 states. He said, wait a second, people who live in very rich Connecticut or New Jersey has the same minimum wage as people living in Mississippi? Okay, the minimum wage in Mississippi will be too high, maybe. Okay, and if you pay the minimum wage in New Jersey, nobody will work for you. But they said if you don't have a minimum wage, and then the employer will probably exploit even more. So they at least set up something. So in New Jersey, in Connecticut, you cannot hire people with minimum wage. You have to pay more. Now, what is Taiwan's minimum wage now, hourly? 95? Really? You go to work, McDonald's, it's 95? Well, I thought that, McDonald's is 95, Max Burger maybe 75, no? Anyone knows about the minimum wage here? Sorry, I have never worked for minimum wage in Taiwan, okay? so I'm not familiar. But I know minimum wage here, some companies, some probably will say, I cannot afford to pay you. Or can they afford to pay you? I mean, university, don't take the university job as granted, okay? Because university always pay you at least minimum, right? Maybe more. But go to the real world, okay? Like if you go across the street, go to those fast food stores, if you work there, how much do they pay you? Tsinghua student never work in fast food. You are so unreal, You have to go to the real world. Okay, please go across the street next week. Let me know is there any difference between the different minimum wage? Check out people's minimum wage. Okay, see you next week.